Hey all, welcome back to Mercury Minded Tarot. My name is Chelsea, and if you're new here, welcome. Go ahead, get cozy, make yourself at home. If you want to like or subscribe or do whatever tickles your fancy, you are welcome here. I always say in my videos that I do tarot and astrology content, but literally 100% of it so far has been tarot related. I do mention astrology in my pick a card readings, but I wanted to take today to really focus on the Mercury retrograde that is coming up on October 31st. But the information I want to cover is going to be applicable to all Mercury retrogrades, not just this one in Scorpio that's coming up. I know it's kind of like this scapegoat lately where, oh, something's going crazy, oh, my hair dryer caught on fire, oh, I blew out a tire of my car, it's Mercury retrograde, or the memes about Mercury being in Gatorade, whatever. It's like a meme now, okay? But it is a real thing. It happens 3 to 4 times a year, depending, and it lasts for about 3.5 weeks, and it's just when Mercury appears like it's going backwards or in reverse. It's not actually going backwards, but it does have the appearance, and we still do feel the effects of it here. So if you are interested in learning how this retrograde will be affecting you specifically, I do want to recommend going to astro.com. I'll put that link in the description below. I know a lot of people, a lot of bigger names especially, and I get a little twitchy when I see it. They want to recommend cafe astrology to make your birth chart. Cafe astrology is a wonderful and lovely site for looking up general descriptions for placements and other information on those, but for calculating a birth chart, it even says on their website to make an accurate birth chart, go to astro.com. And that's all I'm gonna say, go there. Anyway, once you've got your birth chart all figured out, you wanna look at your rising sign, because that is really what's going to be setting up your entire house system, because houses in astrology kind of show us where energy is being applied or being directed. There's 12 houses, they're ruled by signs, and when you check your transits, you can actually see which house Mercury will be moving through, and that is going to be the area of your life where this energy will be particularly focused. Just a little tidbit if you're really interested in seeing where this retrograde will be the most impactful for you personally. Now, I wanted to go over some of the do's and don'ts for Mercury retrograde with the explicit disclaimer that I do not believe in fatalistic astrology. I do not believe that everything is predicted for us. I am a strong advocate for free will. So do not let a planet's motion across the sky dictate what you do with your life. If there is something on this list that I say don't do and you're like, I need to do this for me, or it feels like the right time regardless, then do it. These are more like just advisements, okay, of what Mercury typically messes with during this period. It's just like a little heads up, all right? I'm not telling you everything on this list is going to come to fruition and you are screwed if you even think about doing it. That's not what I'm here for. I'm not trying to be doom and gloom or scare anybody. So let's go over the don'ts, shall we? The first one I want to say is do not count on solidifying any plans. More likely than not, they have a tendency to fall through or people back out during Mercury retrograde. It's really common for the things that we make plans for like in advance during this time to either change or otherwise get disrupted. Another one is do not forget to keep an eye on your electronics during this time. Not only can they malfunction or not work properly, but there's also a high chance of you losing them. Mercury retrograde might be the time of year where you feel like you can't keep your phone in your hand, like it's always lost. You're spending more time looking for it than actually looking at it. But it is very common for like phones during this time to not send text messages, for autocorrect to really be up your ass. Things may not get saved, like documents on your computer, or you may send an email and it never shows up. Just really keep an eye on your electronics for sure during this time. The last Mercury retrograde we had, my fiance, we were at the gym and his Bluetooth like headphones would not connect to his phone the entire time we were at the gym. He was losing his mind. He was getting so frustrated. He could connect to everyone around him but not his own headphones, and they were on. They were supposedly working properly, but they just would not connect. So just little annoying things like that. Mercury rules over short distance and local travel, so don't neglect your car during this time. There is a higher chance for accidents or incidents to happen on the road. So just typical car advice, check your fluids, check your tire pressure. You may end up getting a flat or having a light go out, or maybe your radio just dies or malfunctions. Mercury also rules over our minds and our thought processes, so don't get lazy at work or school. This is definitely a time period where people can get distracted or a little foggy. So just really try to remember to keep your focus during this time. It's gonna be a lot easier to get sidetracked. Don't speak carelessly during this time either. Really pay attention to your words. One of the really big themes during Mercury retrogrades is miscommunication, whether that means you're saying things you don't mean or saying things that you did mean but you really didn't want to come out. There's also that forgetfulness. So you may end up speaking and then just completely forgetting about what you were talking about mid-sentence, or again, like I said, getting sidetracked and be like, wait, what were we supposed to be talking about right now? I also want to point out that Mercury rules over our siblings and our cousins, so there might be a higher chance for disagreements or conflict with those family members. So just really keep that in the back of your mind when you're communicating with those around you. Also during this time, don't overspend, especially on electronics. There's just that chance that something might go wrong after you bring it home. Maybe you get an iPad that worked fine in the store, but you find out it's faulty when you get it back. So really be sure and double check all those things. The last big don't I have is to not start any new projects. Kind of the key words I like to consider for retrogrades would be, renewal, refresh, reimagine, and revisit. A lot of re's. So with that being said, it's an ideal time for revisiting those older projects or things you haven't finished. Maybe bring them back into your focus, bring them back into your attention, and see what you can finish up during this time before you start anything new. Now that we covered some don'ts, let's take a look at the do's. So I mentioned that Mercury covers our short distance and local travel. So with that in mind, I do want you to give yourself plenty of time for travel. You might find that buses, trains, and other public transportation may be running more late than usual. It's also very possible that local traffic could be backed up or just worse than usual. So I want you to be prepared for any delays that you may encounter on your commutes. This one I wanted to throw in there. There is an exception to it, which I'll cover, but this is a good time to plan a trip. I know that sounds so contradictory to what I just said, but a trip maybe somewhere farther away. Maybe this would be a good time to plan a vacation just to get away from it all, get away from the chaos and confusion. Except if a retrograde is traveling through your 9th house, I absolutely would not advise long distance or foreign travel, because that's something that the 9th house has domain over. So if you have a Mercury retrograde going through a 9th house, then disregard that. Don't plan a travel. Stay home. I do want you to pay close attention to contracts, whether that be like leases for a new house or apartment, for cars if you're trying to buy a car, or even if you're trying to start a new job. It's going to be crazy important to just really pay attention to the fine print during this time. I don't think people are going to be intentionally trying to deceive you or rip you off, but there is just that chance that things are not as they appear. So you need to make yourself prepared and aware of that. We talked about how Mercury rules over our electronics, so this would be a good time for cleaning up like your computers, as far as deleting any old photos or old documents that you don't need anymore, freeing up space for when the retrograde is over and you want to start something new. On that same note, I do want you to review and back up any data on your electronics. So if it's documents, emails, texts, make sure you're looking over everything before you send them. And if it is like an important paper for school or work. Save it once, save it twice, save it in different locations, just to make sure you don't lose anything during this time, because that is such a common theme during a Mercury retrograde. And now everyone's favorite part of a retrograde. Was that cheesy enough? I do want you to be prepared for people from your past popping up during this time. Like I had mentioned, a retrograde is where things are being revisited, especially things from our past. So you may have an old friend that wants to send you that message, maybe patch things up or just say hello. Or you could even have an ex that, for whatever reason during this time, they feel like it is an open door, an open invitation to come back into your lives and drop a message. Do what you want with that information. Do what you want when these people pop up, but just expect for these people from your past to make a reappearance. The last little bit of information I want to give to you guys is for those of you with a natal Mercury retrograde like myself. For us, it's not always as severe or as extreme as it is for people who don't have a natal retrograde. I kind of think of it like, well, this is my everyday normal state. Like, this just is my life. This happens for me all the time. And if anything, it might feel more comfortable during this period because it is our natal state. These are the conditions we were born in. So it's like, I'm used to it. It's this every day. It may even feel like you're back at home, so to speak. So those are some of my do's and don'ts during this time. It's really not that scary. Sometimes I even find it comical more than anything. When these things happen, I'm just like, yep, sounds about right. That's the retrograde for you. Take a breath, roll with it. We've dealt with so many in our lives. There's gonna be more that come in the future. So we're not escaping them. They're gonna keep happening. We learn with it, we roll with it. Just stay adaptable, stay flexible. That is my message for you guys for this retrograde. Some tips, tidbits of information, things to keep an eye out for. So that's all that I have for you guys about this retrograde. It's really not that scary. It's not all doom and gloom. We're gonna get through it. If you guys know already, tell me down below what house this retrograde is moving through for you. How do you like to prepare for it? What do you expect? Or any funny stories of Mercury retrogrades in the past? I know I have a few, because as much as it doesn't affect me as other people, sometimes it will just sneak up and bite me right on the ass. So let me know what you guys think. We're gonna get through this just fine. Happy retrogrades. What the hell? You're a little baby spider? Okay. We'll see you later. Almost went cross-eyed. Ding, 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 ding. During Mercury...